What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, leave a comment, share the video, and subscribe to my channel. Hit the join button and become a member. Members get exclusive content. I'm going to do a series on removals. A removal, of course, is when someone transgresses against a rule or a protocol and has to get removed from the yard. That's a removal. It's not a removal unless they are attacked physically. If they just roll it up off the yard, as we talked about with the Pelican Bay situation, that's not a removal. They have to be removed most of the time with a weapon. Sometimes this is a 2-on-1 and it's not a weapon involved. But for the most part, it's going to be a weapon involved and they're removing you from the yard violently. And I have seen very violent removals, particularly, of course, in High Desert State Prison. This first removal that I'm going to speak of takes us to High Desert, where the Nortenos removed someone from the yard. This was one of the first removals that I've seen. Now, this is just going to be part one. I'm going to do part two, part three, and the next one may be a removal from the Nortenos, or operated or executed by the Nortenos. The next one may be the Blacks, the Crips, the Bloods, the Hoovers, whatever. I'm just going to conjure up different removals in my mind, what I've seen, where it happened at, and try to convey them to you. This is part one. And this transpired in High Desert State Prison, as I alluded to, and as I aforementioned, High Desert being the most violent prison in California. This is just a fact. The statistics bear this out. As I also said before, I did 7 years in High Desert, and it was hell. The worst 7 years of my life. It was horrible and it was violent, and there were removals nearly every day in High Desert. What will happen is, in High Desert, or in most prisons, but particularly in High Desert, when you come out to the yard at about 9 a.m., if it's your yard time, your yard day, if it's your tier to have yard that morning, or you might have yard that afternoon, as soon as you go to yard, your people come to you and say, hey man, the Southsiders finna lay the yard down, or the Nortenos finna lay the yard down. Or if it's the Blacks, they say the Hoovers finna lay the yard down, the East Coasters, the neighborhoods, the Damus, or whatever. But they give you a heads up, especially another race. They come to the head people from the Blacks and let them know, hey man, we about to do a removal. This is so when it kicks off on the yard, when they do this removal, and it's another race, and we just see them attacking with knives, we don't really know what's going on, and this is a level 4 180, and it's very violent. We may draw down our weapons, and are they coming after us? We don't know. But when you give us a heads up, we already know what's going on. Also, sometimes, depending on how violent the removal is, just like a riot or whatever, they oftentimes strip out everyone on the yard, even the group that had nothing to do with it. And so if you're about to do a removal, you convey this to other groups so that if we have weapons on us, drugs or whatever, we can stash it or get rid of it before they do the removal. Oftentimes, people will wait till yard recall to do a removal. This is to give us time to get our yard in. We're about to go on lockdown probably after the removal. And so They'd wait for a couple of hours. Sometimes they may exercise with the person that they're about to remove to tire them out. I done seen situations where they on the basketball court playing basketball with them to tire them out and to lure them to sleep that nothing's about to happen to them. Everything is cool. And then once they tired out by yard recall, they get them and get them good. But oftentimes when they say, oh man, the Southside is about to do a removal, the Nortenos is about to do a removal, or whomever, it goes down or goes up immediately. They don't wait till yard recall. Some situations need to be handled right away. Sometimes before all the buildings are released, because they're releasing maybe 2 buildings at a time. They're policing 1 building and policing 4 buildings. They're patting everybody down and they're releasing them to the yard. Then when they're done with those 2 buildings, they go to 2 and 3 buildings and release them. But sometimes it's just 1 building out on the yard. Before they can release the other yard or the other buildings, they done already took off, attacked someone, yard down, everybody go back to their cell, no yard. So they don't often wait till yard recall, but sometimes they do, some groups do. This situation, the Nortenos in High Desert, but they were strong. They were organized and they were structured. I messed with them a lot. I dealt with them a lot. I was close with a particular one who was my neighbor. And they didn't play there in High Desert. They were just as structured as the Serranos and any other group that I'd ever seen, and they were just as violent and just as vicious. They didn't really do drugs on the yard. That was a part of their protocol. And they certainly did not buy drugs from another race or another group. But this one Norteño, well, he had a propensity to transgress against this rule. And he began to buy drugs undercover, and it was undercover for some time, from a black. But he got into big debt and began not to be able to pay this debt. The black became irate, enraged, impatient, and fed up with his excuses and dragging him along. Finally, the black let the head black know what was going on. They approached the Norteño and let them know what was going on. The Norteños were very upset with this particular Norteño for buying drugs, having got in debt, and as far as they're concerned, embarrassing them and their prideful structure. And so, of course, they said he has to be removed. And the very next day, we came out to the yard and they said, of course, they let us know, we're about to take care of that right now, man. Everybody stand clear. We ain't waiting to nothing. We finna get this dude now. And as soon as his building came out and he came out the yard, and I was sitting over there on the bars about to start doing my pull-ups, but I decided not to even get started because it was about to be over at the 1 or 2 sets. And so I was just sitting right there and I was looking towards that way, but not making anything obvious. And I saw 2 Norteños walking with him. And he was in the middle and the other 2 were on either side of him. And they were just walking. And then one put his hand around him, put his arm around him as if, to hug him. What's up, my boy? Or whatever, as they're walking. And then he put his arm back around him and opened up his whole side right there. That's what I was thinking. And I was correct. Because as soon as he put his arm around him, I was looking and I saw the other Norteño that was on the right side of him going to his side, pull out the thing and hit him right here. Swung and hit him right here on his side, right in his guts, hard. Boom! And dude looked at him and he dropped immediately to the ground. A lot of people started running. Some of them just drop and curl up when these things happen. The other Norteño pulled out his thing and they started hitting him viciously. They was hitting him a lot. I'm talking about fast. Boom, 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 boom. They was getting tired and then start hitting them again. I said, man, this dude ain't gonna make it, ain't no way. Because they hitting him so many times. Now, the gun tower, oftentimes, you will see another police run up to the gun tower when something happening. 3 or 4 of them will run up there with weapons to cover the gun tower, to cover the yard. And they have a long walkway up there in the gun tower where they can run down, get closer to you on the yard. And so a police start running down with Mama Minnie, with the Mini 14, running down the gun tower. And he got to him and he said, get down, don't move again. I said, man, these fools get up again, he finna bust on him, because he was stern and he was serious. Really, by law, he already had the right, the authority to shoot, because the law says once you see a weapon, then you have a right to shoot. If you see a weapon and an inmate attacking another inmate with that weapon, then you can shoot. And you're supposed to shoot to protect the inmate that's being attacked. And in this case, it was violent, and it was 2 of them on him, and they was hitting him with the weapon a lot. I'm talking about 10 times a piece at a time. Boom, 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 boom. And then they'd get down because they was getting tired, and then they'd get back up and start hitting him again. I never seen anything like that. Because oftentimes, once you get up again, man, they gonna shoot. The police is running down there. He tell them, get down, don't get up again. So I thought, okay, they good. They got down and spread out their arms. And he telling them to drop the knife. And when they didn't drop it, one of them got back up and started hitting the dude again. I said, oh man, I basically turned my head. I ain't want to watch. I said, his head's gone. He finna blow it off. But the police still didn't shoot. He hit him like 5 or 6 more times and then got back down. And this time he really dropped the weapon. And dude on the ground was a bloody mess. He was twitching and twirling. They came after a while. The nurses ran on there. Ran over. They cuffed the Nortenos up. Everybody in the area, they told to get back, stay down, etc. The nurses ran in there, the doctors, put an oxygen mask on his face, was pumping his heart. I didn't think he was gonna make it. I didn't see how he could. I knew he had got hit at least 100 times. At least 100. He was a bloody mess. It was blood everywhere. He was leaking bad. And then the ambulance finally got to the yard. Took him like 15 minutes. But they'd already took him off the yard on a stretcher and took him to medical. But you can hear the ambulance finally coming to the yard, because they still had us sitting down for a long time because of something like this, something so serious. But though this occurred virtually every day. The authorities there were used to this. I wasn't. This was one of the first removals I had seen, and certainly the most vicious one to that point that I had seen. And the Nortenos took care of business, and they were serious up there, and they were strong. They were doing a lot of burpees. They were saving face, as was every group up there. As I said, they were all strong and all saving face, and were all quick to do a removal should you transgress or flout any rule or protocol. You would get removed from the yard in high desert quickly and viciously. I'm going to bring you more removals to illustrate this point. That if you didn't program properly, if you didn't mind your business, if you didn't stay away from drugs, if you didn't exercise and study and carried yourself like a man and got yourself involved in some nonsense in high desert, you would go down hard. It was unforgiving. They wouldn't give you a second chance like some prisons would. Your car would take you out. It was that political, that structured, that serious, and that violent. Hell, my next removal takes me to the Southsiders, who on C Upper Yard did a removal that sometimes gives me nightmares. Hit the join button, people, and become a member. Stay free.